Welcome back to the Wellness Creator Podcast. Today, we're bringing you 5 juicy stories that every online wellness creator needs to hear. So, we're talking about the new influencer to retail pipeline, aka affiliate marketing's cooler cousin, a viral fiber obsession that's taking over TikTok, personal interest of mine, why your clients are suddenly craving slow analog rituals, and if you've ever thought about using Reddit to grow your business, we've got a tip that could seriously change how you get discovered online. So we're breaking it down, why your audience is over pretty promises with no substance. And finally, we're ending with a story that might just change how you think about your business, your money, and your future as a woman, for those of you who are women who are listening. So stick around. The last one's a pretty good one. And I'll send it over to Sandy.
All right, I got the first story. So the influencer to retailer pipeline is officially a thing. Sephora recently launched a feature called My Sephora Storefront, giving creators their own shop right inside Sephora's platform. It's basically affiliate marketing 2.0, except instead of just promoting links, creators are now curating full-on digital boutiques. Another platform called Vet, created by Condé Nast, is doing something similar, and industry experts are saying the creator economy is on track to hit 500 billion, that's billion with a B, by 2027. And this obviously isn't just for beauty influencers. This applies to all of you who are wellness creators. People trust your opinions and your recommendations. And if you've built a community that looks to you for guidance on feeling good or moving your body or setting intentions, they're ready to buy what you recommend. So this matters because you don't need to launch a skincare line, but you could you have a shop page with your favorite mat, your blocks, teas, books, or oil, whatever it may be? Could you create a bundle of digital products that feels like a curated ritual? You are already influencing, and now you can actually get paid like it. Jenny, what do you think about this story?
Yeah, as you're talking, Sandy, I'm so aware of how much this sounds like TikTok Shop. And I know you don't have TikTok Shop in Canada, so you just
Correct.
haven't lived that experience like those of us, in other
Mhm.
countries in the US in particular. But like that is kind of the business of TikTok, right? Is that people have these curated shops and they're like selling through short form video, these things that you also could be selling through an Amazon storefront or something like that. But I do think that this is where influencer marketing has gone. Instead of affiliate links, it's now like come to my
Storefront.
shop. Yeah,
Yes.
and I think it's so much better because you don't have to market every single thing, right? Like you can pick one thing to talk about and market, but then that's going to drive people into your storefront, and then you're going to have all the other stuff that you've curated. So it also is, to me, more now influencer marketing is more about like the whole person as the influencer. So as the wellness creator, who you are, what you stand for, like your likes, your joys, what lights you up. You can kind of offer that as a whole package versus like a one-off thing.
Right. The examples I gave were very specific to wellness, but it could be like your favorite book or your mattress or your coffee maker or whatever, just because they really admire you, right? Yeah, I think it's fantastic. We've always struggled with like for years we had Joy and Hustle and we wanted to like make our own little storefront where people could go purchase that and have affiliate links, but to make a page and all the links and keep it updated, oh my God, like so I think this is a really, really great option. And one thing I didn't check, I wish I had, is like, are these things available in Canada? So I'll have to look into that because maybe we should do this. Maybe we should use Vet or
Yeah.
something. And I don't think we can do a Sephora storefront, but maybe we could do something on Vet. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
I
think it's a,
generally don't love Sephora. But yeah, I mean I think that though the trend is though that we're going to see more and more brands and platforms offering this kind of storefront option. And I do think this was pioneered with Amazon, you
yeah,
know, a
right.
decade plus
Yes.
ago when we had an
Painful to
Amazon
use.
storefront for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think that this just like as a business owner and as someone who has a presence on the internet, I think it's important to be tracking this and thinking about where the trends are going, how you make money. And I mean, it's kind of hard to make a full-time living as an influencer, but I think it's getting easier because of things like this, right? And now, if you have a devoted following, even if it's small, you can start to make money from just talking about the things that you love. And why not add that extra income stream? I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of like, yay, yay, rah, rah, consumerism, but Like you're already like chances are you're already talking about things anyway. People are asking you, where did you get that tank top? Or, where did you get that bracelet? Or what kind of like your skin looks so good. What is your skincare routine? You might as well benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, story number 2, over to you.
Okay, so now for something a little weirder, and this is fiber maxing. It's the latest gut health trend blowing up on TikTok. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. So people are massively increasing their fiber intake. I mean, this is a little iffy, sometimes like 40 to 70 grams per day using psyllium husk, chia seeds, like beans, all kinds of other high fiber foods. They're doing it for blood sugar balance, better digestion. Sometimes people say clear skin and even hormone support. So, like draining estrogen out of your body. And some creators are calling it the clean girl's secret weapon, which is kind of a lot, but here we are. So it's maybe a little extreme. And for those people who have like different digestive issues, it's something obviously like you would want to talk to your doctor about. But the conversation around gut health, hormones, glucose regulation, thinking of the biggest influencer in the space, Glucose Goddess, it's only getting louder and people are paying attention to this. Like your clients are probably paying attention to this if they're on TikTok or they're, on the internet. And so why does this matter to you? It's an incredible opportunity to show up as a voice of reason and education. So if you have any kind of background in health coaching, if you're a nutrition editor, if you're a nutrition educator, a hormone specialist, lean into this trend. It's your niche's trending moment. So if you're not, you can use it as content. Like, should I be fiber maxing? You can give your opinion. You can like research it a bit and share that research with your audience. So it's a great opportunity to make a reel or a newsletter, or even create an email subject line with the word fiber maxing because it's such a new provocative term. So what is your take on fiber maxing, Sandy?
I don't specifically have an opinion on 40 or 70 grams of fiber, but I think the story here is like, pay attention to these trends, and like some of them are so ridiculous and so over the top. But the reality in this world is your clients are watching these. They're watching these videos going, oh, should I do that? So even if you agree or adamantly disagree, I think it's an opportunity, a subject line to educate and put yourself back in that person who knows, like the person who is the expert on this, and like, oh, that sounds much more reasonable, right? So I think this story is not whether should you fiber max or not. It's like, pay attention to these crazy trends that are happening. Your clients are, and you can use those to set yourself up as an expert.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've definitely seen like on TikTok a bunch of people with pretty high numbers of followers in their accounts who are critiquing this kind of thing, right? Like the people who have like stronger clinical or medical backgrounds are coming in and saying like, whoa, here's why this might not be good for you or for anyone or for everyone, right? And so like that kind of trend just you can see how it creates opportunities to grow your following and to establish yourself as an expert, regardless of what side you fall on. And I also think the other thing that's really interesting about this topic to me is, again, like the word fiber maxing, the term. I mean, this like blank maxing is such a popular way of talking about something right now. It's like really trendy. So like, could you use the blank maxine, create your own, new term based on whatever your expertise is, like not even talking about fiber.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. Okay, I've got this next story. So next we're going to talk about a surprising wellness trend that has nothing to do with AI or apps or algorithms. It's called the analog on movement, and it's showing up in a very big way across wellness spaces. According to Global Wellness Summit, consumers are craving digital breaks, low-tech experiences, and moments of deep presence. Think silent walking, cold plunges, saunas, forest bathing, paper journals, eye contact, long hugs. In a world of infinite scrolls and 24/7 notifications, going analog is starting to feel like the most luxurious form of self-care. But before we throw all our screens away, let's be real. Most of us do run our businesses online. We teach on Zoom, we market on Instagram, we coach in the DMs, and that is not going anywhere. The shift here isn't about quitting digital. It's about designing experiences that balance the digital with the physical, the high tech with the deeply human. So for you, building wellness businesses on the internet, that could look like maybe offering a 7-day off screen challenge inside your membership. Maybe you mail your coaching clients a printed journal and a beautiful pen. Maybe you add a closing ritual to your live Zoom classes that invites people to step away from the screen and into their bodies. Your clients are craving slowness and simplicity, not just in how they move, but in how they consume. So if you are able to create moments that feel grounded, sensory, analog, you're going to stand out. And you're also going to be serving your audience's real need, which isn't just content and more content and more content. It's actually connection. Jenny, I know you have a lot to say on this.
Yeah, I mean, this is my space that I spend most of my free time in, is the analog world. I'm increasingly making my life about all things analog, like being offline as much as possible. And not just offline, it's actually away from screens. So, that looks like paper books and typewriters and fountain pens and journals, and going into nature and being as far away from kind of technology as possible. I think we're only going to see this trend grow. And I also think for our audience, Sandy, the thing that's most important is, because if you're listening to this, you're working online and you're working in the wellness industry, most likely, there is a certain part of your life and the lives of your clients that is like, it's going to have to be online, right? Like, a lot of us have jobs that require us to be connected to the internet on a pretty regular tether, and then our businesses, and then obviously like when we're engaging in products and services from people who teach online. And so I do think this is really about thought leadership here, because you don't want to like undermine the thing that you're selling. Like, that's still important. But when you kind of share your own analog practices and you highlight like what's working for you, I think you also create the invitation for like, okay, and now when we're online together, you've kind of had the rest and respite like away from this to now fully participate in this time together online. Like, I think that there is a balancing act, then it's a real opportunity for you to show up as a creator and thought leader in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to emphasize for those working online, this is not like, oh my God, my business is in jeopardy. It's not that. It's just what Jenny said. It's really standing up for that balance and talking about it, but also an opportunity to think of how can I bring some analog joy into my client's life. I think it's an interesting question. And it's also really fun to send someone a journal or whatever. So,
yeah.
okay.
One of my favorite YouTubers, he did this video recently, and this just like perfectly illustrates it, because it's somebody that has like well over 1 million YouTube subscribers. And he had this like video pop off that was him on a typewriter. It's just like a beautiful video of him using a typewriter and like opening this antique like Altoid style tin, taking out a little tiny piece of beautifully made earth that's been cut to fit in the tin, like taping it with double-sided tape to a piece of paper, putting it into his typewriter feed, and then typing a quote, and then finishing it, taking it off and putting it in his tin. Like, I mean, you're watching the video on YouTube, like you're online, and he's making a video with like digital cameras and like editing software, right? But like he's infusing the experience of analog life too. And that video like totally popped off. And I think that's the bridge, right? Is like, how do we infuse like what it means to have an offline or analog experience into this work?
Yeah.
Because it's popular right now.
That's
and
it
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Story number 4. You got it.
Okay. So, I mean, of course we agree with this, like we can talk about it more at the end, but wellness clients are done with the BS. So let's be honest here. Wellness marketing used to get away with a lot, like early days of the internet, right? And balance your hormones in 10 days, unlock the ancient secret to effortless weight loss, drink this tea, manifest your soulmate. I mean, it's just, those days are fading fast. I would say they're already gone. According to a new report from Outbrain, today's wellness consumer is now savvy, skeptical, and absolutely over vague claims and aspirational nonsense. People want clarity, they want evidence, they want specificity, and they want to know that the person they're buying from actually lives what they teach. So again, like clickbait, this kind of clickbait is gone in wellness, and like you couldn't get away with this already because of advertising restrictions, but now like it's not working for non-paid stuff either. And it makes sense. Like we've all, I think, been burned by this. Like even if it's just taking 5 minutes to read a news story that's just total BS. And a lot of people spend money on courses, coaches, and supplements that were over promised and that under delivered. And so there's just this fatigue. So what this means is that if you are a wellness creator right now, you have an opportunity not just to sell something, but to build trust. This should be a core part of everything you're doing as a creator. And this really starts with your messaging. It's not enough to say transform your life. Tell me how. It's not enough to say join my membership. Tell me what I get, how it's different, how I will feel after 30 days, and then make sure that those claims are backed up by like supporting evidence, right? Like make sure they really will feel that way after 30 days. So why does this matter to you? You're already doing the real work. You're holding space, creating value, guiding people toward wellness. You're actually doing it if you're listening to this podcast, but your marketing needs to reflect that. So it's just a reminder to gut check your sales page, rewrite those vague headlines, and be bold enough to tell the truth. What you do works, and it's not because it's magic, but because it's actually meaningful. So Sandy, how are you feeling about this?
Yeah,
one?
I mean, we've been harping on this point for years, all through our coaching programs. This is a big part of what we did, was try to get the vagueness out of the lines. A lot of wellness creators will go for like really beautiful words that are very, very empty and don't really mean anything to the client. And so we have a whole other podcast about don't your woo words won't sell, and that's basically what this is saying. So it's nice to hear that this sort of concept is backed up by Outbrain. But it's a good reminder, like just say it, be specific. And I think a lot of women too will hide behind, I think you said, be bold enough to tell the truth. And I think a lot of women are afraid to state or declare, what they do. They want to like make it florally and beautiful and soft and ephemeral. And it's like, no, just say it. People need to know. And I think this is just confirmation that the consumers out there are catching on, and they just please be clear about what it is that I get.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I think clarity and I think specificity is the way that you do that. And I think the reason that so many people like shy away from specificity is because they don't want to make promises that they can't keep. But there's ways of wording like your success story, like through testimonials, you can have caveats. You can say like most people experience XYZ result in X time. Like you can still provide some caveats so that you're not making promises that are unfair.
Ridiculous claims. Yeah.
But like you kind of have to stick your neck out there a little bit now. I mean, I would say that that is like one way to think about it is you can't hide, as you're saying, Sandy, in like the flowery language anymore, because like just nobody cares. It's just it's just a sea of nonsense. And like, as I like to agree with this phrase, the enshittification of the internet, like you just stop saying like, yeah. And I mean, go listen to the podcast that Sandy mentioned, and you can hear all the examples of the vague wellness nonsense that we like to call out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, next story. Here's something you probably haven't thought about lately. Reddit. Not for memes, not for drama, but for growth. Reddit is hosting a webinar called Ask Me Anything About Apps. And while it is geared toward app marketers, it's actually super relevant for anyone building an online wellness business, especially if you are hosting your content or community on a platform like Marvelous. So Reddit isn't just a forum, it's one of the most trusted, engaged communities on the internet, and it's becoming a serious tool for discovery and conversion. In this session, Reddit's team will break down how small brands, especially niche ones, are using subreddits, AMAs or Ask Me Anythings, and content strategy to grow awareness and drive leads. Here's the kicker though, you don't need to build your own app to take advantage of this. For those of you who are on Marvelous, you already have your platform and therefore your own app. So this is really about driving the right people to it, which is what everyone is always asking about how to do this. So if you have felt like your audience is tired of Instagram or your content's getting buried in the algorithm, been there, Reddit could be your next channel for organic visibility. Niche is actually rewarded there, and questions are welcome. That's what it's built on. And real conversation, not polished perfection, is what performs. So if you've got a unique point of view on gut health, on movement, on hormones, on healing, whatever, Reddit might be the place to start talking. And I will put the link to sign up for that forum. It happens in November 2025. I'll put the link in the show notes. So Jenny, you found this forum. Why did you think it was important?
Yeah, I mean, Reddit is increasingly becoming important in a world of AI-driven search results. And so Reddit, having your brand or your name mentioned on Reddit can be a great way for people to find you when they're asking AI tools questions about, I'm looking for, Pilates teacher who specializes in like hormone related issues and perimenopause or whatever. Like that would be helpful for you to show up there. So it's sort of like, I don't know, beyond Google being found. I do want to say the caveat of Reddit is a hard place to spend a lot of time because people typically have anonymous handles. And as like terrible as like it is to spend time on Facebook, there's still a lot of people that use their real names and like real identifying information there. So like there's a little bit less of the sort of meanness, like mean girl, mean boy behavior. But Reddit, it's like, it's kind of a shit show and people are kind of mean to each other. And I would just say like, that's also part of developing a thick skin and being on the internet. I also don't love that about it, but it's just like that's sort of the trend of where things are going, and that content is getting scraped by search tools and AI search tools. So like you might as well invest in being there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I agree. It's all about, to me, it's all about AI, but you have to know what you're getting into. I heard someone say the other day, in this day and age, running a business, that was the context. The price for success is hate. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
But I kind of think that's true, right? So yeah, thick skin, go into this, but it's something we've looked at too, or I've looked at, to sort of show up in those AI results. But this is just a forum. You don't have to do anything. It might be just worth understanding how Reddit is playing in this world so that you can use it or not use it. You'll be much more informed after this forum. So again, I will put that in the show notes. Okay, Jenny, last story. Love this one. Go for it.
Yeah, so we've talked about this ad nauseum in our kind of coaching work and our coaching world and our other podcasts, but 50 years ago, women couldn't get a mortgage. I think it's important to continuously remind ourselves of how far we've come. And it's a moment I think we need to sit with, especially as we roll toward the end of now 2025. That's hard to believe. So 50 years ago, in both Canada and the US, which are our two countries, women couldn't get a mortgage or even open a credit card without a man's signature, essentially a man's permission, right? So in 1974, the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was passed in the US, and similar policy shifts were happening in Canada. I think we did a whole podcast about this a few years ago. Before that, a bank could legally deny you a mortgage based on the fact that you were unmarried, divorced, or let's be real, simply female. So putting that in perspective, our mothers and grandmothers, even if they had an income and had the discipline and the dream, still needed a husband or a father or some other man to co-sign on their independence. And here we are now running online businesses, building recurring revenue, investing in property, buying land, owning assets, generating wealth on our own terms. And really in one generation, this transformation has taken place. So why do so many of us still feel like we don't know enough about money? Or why do we have a weird, guilty feeling about wanting more? Why do we question whether we're doing it right? So I think with this 50-year mark, it's not just a history lesson. Like this is a reminder that this is the first time in history that women have had this kind of financial autonomy, and it's still new for us. This means that we're figuring it out as we go. There are gaps in what we were taught, but it's okay to want the house, the savings, the investment account, the Bitcoin, the cash buffer, the Mercedes, whatever your heart desires, and take the quiet afternoon to drink tea in your robe because your business is working for you. It's kind of time to banish the guilt of being entrepreneurs. So if you're building something online, something that matters, whether it's a yoga membership, a coaching program, a nutrition business, you are part of this lineage of women who are reclaiming power, not just energetically, but financially. This is your permission slip to go all in. We just want to give you that reminder, not just to survive, but to earn, to own, and to build something that outlasts you. So,
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's significant that it's only 50 years. This is the anniversary of those changes in policy. 50 years, we can now go get our own credit card or buy a car, whatever. That is one generation. That is one generation that has changed. And so for all of you who are suffering with those questions that Jenny asked about, like, I don't know enough, or I feel guilty for wanting, or I don't understand how stocks work. How could you? Like, of course, we have to learn this. The men have had generations of knowledge passed down in the private club smoking rooms or at the hunting, whatever they do, right? Like, they have talked to each other for generations about investing and making money and real estate. And women have been taught how to, make a meal for 8 kids on $5, like, or clip coupons or save pennies, right?
They're to be a baroness and dance in fancy dresses.
Yeah, like, so just give yourself a break. If you are struggling with money mindset, it's expected. There's no way that you can just learn this, but keep going, and I wanted to just mark that that's only 50 years. Like, it seems like a long time, but it's 1974, wasn't that long ago. And this happened to my mother, that she had this exact experience. So this is kind of personal, but something to celebrate, that you all are out there making your own money and doing the things. And I just want to remind you that this is relatively new.
Yeah. And it's monumental because of that. I think that that's the other piece of it, is like, we're living in times that are so radically different than our ancestors lived. And I think it's just worth reminding ourselves that. And then even with this online entrepreneurship space, Sandy, I think it's important to think too, is that, like, if you're listening to this, you also are not tied down to a traditional job either. Like, you can have your own business and make your own money. And that's like a whole other level of all of this. And so it's really, even though it feels unsteady and unsure, it's something that's worth, like, really allowing yourself to feel pride about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks everyone for listening today. If something landed for you, pass this episode along to another creator who needs to hear it. And so go do something big this week, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, Jenny.
Thanks, everybody.